I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Ross.
And welcome to For Your Convenience.
Okay, everyone. So thanks for tuning in for our second episode.
Woo!
Yeah, 2 down. Thanks so much if you gave us some feedback. We really appreciate it, and hope you give us some more here. I just got back from a really long trip.
Yeah, where'd you go?
I went to London.
Really? How was that?
It was great. I said that every time I saw like a scene, I started singing that.
I'm sure your mother really appreciated that.
Yeah, she loved it.
Yeah, so for this episode, we're trying to show you guys that we're cultured gentlemen.
Indeed.
We travel the world, mostly Ross in this situation, but we travel the world, and we know that you guys want to do the same. So we figured we'd give you a little travel episode.
A travel guide for your convenience, so that you know what there is to know before going to the UK.
Yeah, you want to be an informed traveler, and you want to make sure that you experience the best that the UK has to offer.
All right, so we'll get started here. The first thing to know for Americans traveling to the UK is you should talk to people. So talking to people is the greatest way to learn about just local life in the city and in the country. Most of the people over there were extremely nice, great to talk to, liked Americans in general. They get a lot of travelers in London specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. I feel like it might be easy to overlook that, but really the people are what make the country so great.
Indeed.
Did you find that they had any stereotypes of Americans or interesting views toward us?
Yeah. So I talked to a few people, and they always thought that Americans were enthusiastic about everything. So when they watch, I'm sure they see like just spring break videos like spring break, yeah. And so they're throwing up rock on signs. And he said, I talked to this one guy, and he said that he just thought we were excited about everything and Americans, yeah, let's do this, and, bro,
gnarly dude.
Exactly. So they think we're very enthusiastic people.
Mm-hmm. Were there any jokes made about the current political climate?
Oh, everyone, after I told anyone I was American, they were like, oh man, Donald Trump. And that's pretty much it. I was like, yeah, I really, I'm here though. I don't really need to hear about American politics.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Number 4 of the top 5 things to do in the UK was the Tower of London. So a little brief history. I'm not very good at this. I'll probably botch it. But the brief history of it was set up by William the Conqueror, who's built.
Good old Bill.
Bill the Conqueror Bill. And the background of it, there's a lot of, it's a dark history. There's, murder and treachery and all sorts of stuff like that. Executions involved with the tower. But anyways, the monarchy would stay there for the most part until some year. I'm not sure exactly. I should have listened better at the tour. But her royal guards are there, called not the royal guards, the yeoman warders they're called, so otherwise known as beefeaters.
Interesting title.
Yeah, the beefeaters. So if you're familiar with British products, you'll know of Beefeaters Gin, and they actually don't know where that name came from. But I was very curious about the name.
Yeah. So did you ask anyone about it?
Yes, I did. I had to know. How much beef does a beefeater beef? beef and a beef could a beef. I had to know how much they ate, how much beef they eat.
Okay.
And so I went up to one and I was like, hey, I do a podcast. Can I ask you a question? He's like, sure. He's very confused. And I was like, how much beef do you actually eat? How often do you have beef? And he goes, thought about it. And he's probably every Sunday. So now I thought it was not a lot.
No, I mean, maybe it's a religious thing on Sundays. I don't know.
He seemed very casual about eating beef, which I was surprised about. I thought he'd be enthusiastic.
Yeah, I thought he'd take his job more seriously.
Right. Give him the can. So I found out that I eat more beef than a beef eater.
I mean, maybe if this whole cartography thing doesn't work out for you, there's a job for you.
I've got a future.
Yeah, as a beefeater.
Oh, man. I hope so. Actually, the beefeaters themselves are sergeants, former military personnel in the British Army. So you have to, like, serve a lot. All of them are, I think, probably 40 plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Number 3 on things to do are pubs. You always hear about British pubs.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the classic image we have of British people. Just hanging out in the pub, watching the football match.
Go to the pub, watch the football. Man U versus Chelsea. I don't know.
I don't know who she is.
I don't know either. So the weirdest thing about pubs that I found as an American, I don't know, maybe just as a Midwesterner too.
Yeah, maybe.
There's no seats at any of the bars. And so, like, you go up and you order your drink, but then you go back to your table and there's nobody standing really around the bars.
So how do you converse with people? How do you kibitz, chat with people?
Yeah, there's nobody mingling. It's all just clusters of people. You go with the people that you know, so you don't really mingle. There's people just sit with who you know and you talk. And so I was there by myself sometimes, and I would just be like, who do you talk to?
So it's more of a thing you do with your friends rather than a place you go to meet people.
Right, exactly. So that was the pubs. It was really cool, though. All of them, they look and feel like how you'd imagine, like pretty homey and
cool,
warm, and some really cool places and some really good stuff. The next thing I would recommend for Americans was to go see Stonehenge.
I mean, I've always wanted to see it. What did you think?
Yeah, Stonehenge was awesome. You can get moderately close. And actually, if you, for 250 pounds, you can actually go and touch the rocks.
Wow, that is very expensive.
Yeah, it's the fine if you were to go touch the rocks.
Gotcha. Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and maybe some jail time. I'm not sure. Time in the brig, as they'd say.
I mean, I'm sure you'd get extradited. Just kidding. That would not happen.
It sounds like it would hurt. But yeah, it was really cool to see. There's like sheep. It's like in the middle of nowhere. There's just countryside, and then there's like sheep all around and some magpies or whatever.
Did you see perhaps any druids?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there was this guy chanting, and they tackled him. He was
really?
chanting in Latin.
Well, lesson to all our listeners: do not chant in Latin at Stonehenge. You might summon some demonic entity. Or, I don't know, something bad will happen.
Yeah,
so.
And it makes you wonder that if they did tackle him and stop him, then you know it's true. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if they thought it was harmless, they wouldn't have stopped him.
Yeah. Secrets of Stonehenge for you.
I guess a bunch of hippies go there every solstice because that's what it's built up and lines up on the solstice, you know? Mm-hmm. So our bus driver said that hippies go there every solstice and probably do yoga or something.
Yeah, blaze it.
Blaze it. 420 blaze it. Mm-hmm. Actually, it would be 621.
621 blaze it.
The final thing that I'd recommend for Americans to do is obviously eat.
I mean, that's what we're best at.
Yeah, we're best at eating. One of my favorite things about travel is always eating. So, and trying the local food. And you don't really hear about British cuisine that often.
It's definitely something that's not really talked about. Like, you don't say, oh, let's go to this English food restaurant.
Right.
So how's your experience of it, though?
It was good. So they've got fish and chips. You got to try the fish and chips.
Classic.
Little known fact, I thought that fries were just called chips over there, but they have French fries too, and they're big on sweet potato fries. But chips are basically like steak fries, so like just a thicker fry.
That's THICC for you guys wondering.
Double C. But yeah, there's a good mix of stuff. There's a lot of Indian food and Asian foods. I suppose probably set up from like ancient trades, or not ancient trades, but
or conquering. One of the two.
Yeah, exactly. But like the trading companies would come and bring in those spices and whatnot.
So did you find that there was anything like missing in terms of cuisine that you expected to be there, or
So
disappointments?
you have to be ready. When you travel to the UK, there is no ranch dressing or ranch sauce.
Tragic.
It was terrible. I went to McDonald's, which is just as crappy as it is over here. So
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know. Like, don't think it's something special. It tastes the same, just as bad. But I don't know. I'm not very picky, so I like it enough.
I hate it, but I'll eat it.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no ranch. They've got the chicken selects there that were here in the U.S. for a while, but now are discontinued. So I was super stoked about having these chicken tenders, which is I don't know why I was so excited, but the fact that they're there. And I go, and looks like what's ranch on the box of the chicken selects, and there was no ranch anywhere.
Personally, I wouldn't mind, but that sounds like a grave disappointment to you.
It was. I am addicted to ranch.
My name is Ross Thorne, and I'm addicted to ranch.
R.A. Ranchers Anonymous.
Yeah, personally, I think maybe London was not the right trip for you. You were wanting ranch so much, it might have been a smarter idea to take a trip to Hidden Valley.
I looked into it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. I guess they want it that way.
I guess they want to keep their hidden ranch hidden so much. Well, fine. You can have it. I'll still buy it. And that's our top 5 things Americans need to know when traveling to London.
Next up here, we've got a very special guest that Ross met in his travels. Unfortunately, Ross couldn't be here with us for this interview because he stubbed his toe. But I'd like to introduce to you Mr. 920.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well.
Good to hear. So, just who are you? Let's just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Todd Shaplansky. I'm from Sheboygan. Go Sheboygs, you know what I mean? First and foremost, I guess, about myself, I'm a rapper. I'm a brat enthusiast. I'm a Packer fan, and I'm a family man, in that order.
Okay, good. Where did your rap name come from?
So, as you know, I'm currently Mr. 920. I was formerly Snoop Todd. My name's Todd. T-O-double-D, if you will. But unfortunately, somebody had to take the name Snoop Dogg, and it was too close.
A brutal theft.
It was terrible. I tell you, Snoop Todd was very upset. So after my name was brutally, forcefully taken from me, I had to think of some fresh new name to call myself, and something that the kids could relate to. So everyone's really proud of where they're from, and I'm no different. So I went with Mr. 920, which is the area code from where I'm from. And I thought it was fresh and new. No other rapper has the name, named after their area code.
Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure that Pitbull goes by Mr. 305.
What? You mean Pitbull?
Yeah, he's a pretty popular rapper. I would have thought if you've heard of him.
What is up with all these dog rappers taking my name?
I don't know. Who would you say your musical influences are?
Jimbo, I think it's probably better to ask who I have influenced. I'll give you a list of names you might recognize, a.k.a. you will recognize them because they're really famous. The first one, BMX, Dos Pac, NUUA, and another big name, Nefarious B.I.G. Ever heard of him?
Do you mean Notorious B.I.G.?
Well, I mean, some people would call him that, but all of his friends definitely call him Nefarious B.I.G.
Good to know. So, how did you meet Ross?
I was in the airport going through some customs, and I brought a slight snack of 20 pounds of Polish sausage, 20 pounds of cheddar, and 10 pounds of Colby cheese. So, just a little thing to hold me over in between the meals on the airplane, because sometimes it just takes so long. It's a long flight. And I saw him over there wearing a Packer shirt, and just, we started chatting and talking about the good old homeland of the Midwest of Wisconsin.
Okay, good. What made you want to travel?
Well, Jimbo, I got to say the first thing that comes to mind is just expanding my rap game to the outside of the 920. unfortunately. Come to think of it, Mr. Chihuahua stole my name, so I'll have to change it to something bigger. Mr. Globe Wide, I think, would be a good name.
I'm sure nothing like that has ever been taken, and you'll be fine. So what did you do while you were in London?
I just did the typical stuff that, one would normally do when traveling abroad. In London, there's some cool stuff to do in England. Performed for the Queen, my whole rap album, my new album. She's a huge fan of the rap game. Loves, all of the ones that I had listed before, and my new stuff. She's always been a fan. I'm only selling one copy of my album, and right now she's the top bidder. Other things I saw, your average typical stuff like Sausage Henge.
Sausage Henge? You mean Stonehenge?
Not quite. It's a life-size replica of Stonehenge, but it's 3 times smaller and 10 times tastier. Really, it was close to the heart, right in the arteries. Another thing, I tried to meet Big Ben. I heard he was going to be there, but I only saw a clock tower wherever it said it was. It turns out he's back in Pittsburgh. I thought it was going to be a good opportunity, but
who could know?
Yeah.
While you were over there, did you have a chance to try any fine British cuisine?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jimbo, it was amazing. It was just all home-cooked meals, a lot of meats. There's a fish fry every single day. You don't have to wait all week just thinking, man, I wish I could have some fried clogging arteries fish in my diet. You can do it anytime, any day of the week. It was amazing. Meat pies, chicken pot pies, sausages, which they call bangers over there. By the way, my album is full of bangers. Overall, on the cuisine, though, there's not enough cheese. Luckily, I brought, you heard I brought some on my own, so I was able to whet my appetite a little bit.
Sounds like you really had a good trip.
Totally. I'd go back in a heartbeat, but you know what they say, lightning never really strikes twice.
Well, I appreciate the interview. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just glad to be here.
Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Oh, wait a sec. I got one thing to say. I got some shout-outs I'd like to make.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to do a quick shout-out to the Packers. My homeboys, they're always there for me. And another one to the Nation.
The Packer Nation?
No, the Vape Nation. Yeah, I vape. I'm Vape Nation. I actually need to go right now. I need to go for a vape and a sausage, if you excuse me.
Okay, well, goodbye. Oh, welcome back, Ross. How's your toe feeling?
It's better. I'm sad I missed the interview, but I hope you enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, he was certainly an interesting guy. I wish him the best of luck in his career.
Indeed. Well, that's all we have for this week. Quite a bit shorter of an episode, so let us know what you think about the time. And let us know what you thought about our suggestions for London or for the UK and what you should know. And
if you have any suggestions for future episode topics or things you want us to talk about, let us know that too.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you listening. Share it. Subscribe. Any feedback is just welcome.
Yeah. So join us next time when we take on the top 5 presidential hobbies.
We'll see you later.